video for you today. Today we're going to make a fettuccine Alfredo using cauliflower as the base for the creamy sauce. So this will not contain butter or heavy cream. And instead of that, like I said, we'll use cauliflower, olive oil, and a little bit of skim milk and some chicken broth. Now you could make this completely vegan if you use vegetable broth and no skim milk. Let's get started. Here is everything that you'll need to make this. Again, I forgot to mention I'm going to make it a little bit pesto-y because I saw some fresh basil at the grocery store and it looks so good I couldn't resist. So I have some skim milk, a package of fresh basil, about 2 or 3 cloves of garlic that's roughly chopped, a head of cauliflower. My chicken broth is in the back there. This is Asiago cheese in my cheese grater, and I'm going to add just maybe 2 tablespoons of that at the very end. Red pepper flakes, salt and pepper, and dry Italian spice mix. And I'm using the Garden Delights from Ronzoni fettuccine tonight. And this has a full serving of vegetables. So it's not whole wheat pasta, but it's enriched with carrots and tomatoes and spinach. So this is like going to be a whole vegetable meal on a plate. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is bring a big pot of water to the boil, and you want that water to be salted. So you need about a teaspoon of salt. Throw that in there. Then you take your cauliflower, and you just are going to basically break off the heads, and that you don't have to cut them up small, and drop them into the water. And be careful not to splash and burn yourself. And just go ahead and do that. And those will just boil away until they're super soft. I'm just going to break these up into fairly large pieces. Okay, so they're all in there. And they are going to boil for, I'd say a good 10 to 12 minutes or so. All right, so while that's boiling, we can start making our sort of the pesto part of the sauce. So I'm just going to put, you see this pan? There we go. Just going to put a medium-high heat on under this pan and cook up the garlic a little bit. Add about, 2 teaspoons of olive oil. Put in the garlic, and it's just very rough chopped. You don't have to do a fine chop on this because it's all going to go in the food processor afterwards. So when those come back to a boil, then we can time them for 10 minutes, and these will start sizzling. In with that, we're going to put our hot pepper flakes. So I don't want it to be too spicy, but it needs a bit of flavoring because the cauliflower can be a little bland. Unlike cheese and butter and heavy cream, which is not bland at all. So this you need to add a little more spice. So it's not going to be quite as mild as a standard Alfredo sauce, but it's really good. If you can't eat those things, this is a great substitute. And you don't really want the garlic to be really brown. If you're not putting in the basil, you really don't want the garlic to brown at all because then it will add little, flecks of color to your sauce. But then again, the spices are anyway. But you want it to cook because raw garlic is very, very strong and very, it's not bitter, but what is it? It's really hot and garlicky and just tastes raw. So it's better to cook it off a little bit and so that it just mellows out when you cook it. So I'm just going to turn that down and let it cook slowly for a few minutes. Okay, so now to make the sort of pesto-y part of the sauce, we're going to take, I already picked the leaves off and washed and dried this basil, so that's all ready to go. So it's about the equivalent of maybe 4 big stems of fully grown leaves. So we're just going to pack that into the food processor. And then in order to get that to spin, we need some liquid, so that's going to need some olive oil. So this is a good heart healthy oil, so we're going to add a good glug of olive oil. That's probably a little under a 1/4 cup, so maybe about 2 or 3 tablespoons. So there's that, and then we'll put the garlic in, but I'm going to let it cool first. So I'm just going to give this a spin, kind of pre-chop up the basil. And the reason I'm doing this separately and first is because if you put the basil right in with something hot like the cauliflower or the garlic, it will cook the basil and turn it black or brown, and we want it to be a nice bright springy green. So if we get it chopped up with the olive oil on it and then add it to the hot ingredients later, then it will keep its nice fresh color. Alrighty, and we can put a little bit of cheese in there. And I have some, I think I said already, some Asiago cheese in my cheese grater. So I'm just going to throw that in there, because that's what pesto is made out of, pretty much cheese, olive oil, basil, and usually some kind of nuts, pine nuts or walnuts, but I'm not going to put any nuts in this particular recipe, but you could, and it would be terrific. So I'm just going to add a little more olive oil and just push that down. And give it another grind. Wow, that just smells so delicious. Take a look at that. So fresh and green, and the aroma is beautiful. I can't wait to get that into the sauce. It's going to be good. Add some salt and pepper to this. This is kosher salt. I'm putting in maybe a quarter of a teaspoon to the pesto, and a grind of fresh pepper. And I took the garlic and the spices off the stove and put them in a ramekin to cool so that they would cool faster. And now that they are, we're just going to dump those in. Oops. Okay, so when that's done, I'm just going to scrape that out into a small bowl. Okay, back over here, and to test the cauliflower for doneness, you just grab a big one and just stick a knife in, and if it goes in nice and easy and it's nice and soft all the way through, then it's ready. So I'm not going to drain that because I don't want to wait for a whole nother pan of water to heat up for my pasta. So I'm just going to use like a slotted ladling kind of spoon. So those took just about 10 minutes to become nice and soft, and I'm just going to scoop them out, and I have a strainer set over a bowl because I can't reach all the way. The cord's too short for my food processor to get over here. Plus I want to let them drain a little more. I'm just going to use the same water to cook the pasta, because this is just going to take a minute to food process this and liquidize it, and then it's going to become the sauce, and I don't want to be waiting 20 minutes between now and then. So while that water is still up to a nice boil, always, cooking directions say that this will need firm 9 minutes, tender 10 minutes. So while the pasta does its thing, we'll go back over here to the food processor. So now you're just going to take all the cauliflower and just put it right in the bowl of the food processor. I hope this doesn't overwhelm mine. It's not a very big one. And I'm just going to put in a little chicken broth to help it get started. This food processor kind of drives me crazy because it doesn't really suck everything down to the bottom to grind it up as well as it should. And with a full head of cauliflower in there, you really need quite a bit of liquid to get this to be a saucy consistency. Otherwise, it's like putting mashed potatoes on your pasta. So just go ahead and add a little more broth, a little more milk, keep it nice and creamy. Let me open that up and see how it's doing. And as you can tell, it's still pretty hot. It's taken on a little bit of a green tinge because of the pesto that we made in here earlier. Go ahead and add the rest of the chicken broth and the rest of the milk, and it needs a little bit of salt. Probably about a half a teaspoon, a little pepper. And then I'll just go ahead and grind that little bit up. And this is going to make a lot, so I'm thinking that I am going to, you know, when the pasta's done, put that in a bowl. You can't even see that there. I'm going to put it way over here. There we go. I'm going to put the pasta in the bowl and then pour this over, stir it all together, and then I might have some left over that I can keep in the fridge for a couple weeks and use it for maybe some lunches or something. Okay, so let me just see if that's still... It's cooled down quite a bit. It certainly is not hot, just lukewarm. So I think at this point I could add the pesto to it. Now, if you want to leave it right there, that is good tasting sauce, and you can just stop right there and not add the pesto. But so I love pesto, especially the fresh flavors. Since it's almost spring, you could really use some nice fresh garden flavors after a long winter. Okay, I'm just going to fold that in. And the timer just went off, so the pasta is done, so I'm just going to drain that. Okay, the pasta is ready, so I'm just going to pour it into the serving bowl. Oops. Okay, and we'll pour over some of the sauce. Okay. And just toss that together. My gosh, this is not beautiful. This is the weirdest color combination. It's like a crazy green with crazy tan pasta. Oh, this looks so unappetizing. I will be the first to admit it. Oh my goodness, and I put in too much sauce. Okay, let me make it look more appetizing for you. All right, I'm cracking myself up. Sorry it's so ugly, but I'm pretty much can assure you that it tastes fantastic. It's really good. My little assistant just took a fingerful because she looked at it and was like, yeah, you're not going to make us eat that, are you? After dipping her finger in, she gave it the thumbs up and said that it does taste good. So maybe it would be better on a whiter pasta. I don't know. This looks pretty bad. I'm going to grate a little cheese over the top just to try to help it out a little bit. You know, don't serve this to company because they'll be like, oh my God, what have you done? And there it is. So I hope you give it a try, even though it's ugly. It does taste good. And the other thing you can use is, if you don't do the pesto-y part and just do the cauliflower with the milk and the chicken broth or the vegetable broth, you can also make this into a carbonara by adding peas and ham, or you can add edamame or Canadian bacon. All right, so those are all the different ways that you can eat this. It doesn't look so bad right now, but I hope you enjoy, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.